And more from that World Cup. Well, Argentina lifted that World Cup trophy after a gap of 36 years. And in the run-up to the finals, ET now helped you analyze the performance of your favorites and the underdogs as well. Now, your channel kept you ahead on all the statistics going into the tournament. And now we are breaking down some of the lessons from the champions that could help you achieve your financial goals. Yes, that's right. Finance from the World Cup. Now, whether it is football or your money, you need to set a goal to win. Now, many of you may not know that the top teams in the World Cup plan for at least 10 to 15 years in order to win that cup. What you saw play out at Qatar was merely an execution of the plan that Argentina put in place many years ago. So why shouldn't you when it comes to your money? Whether you plan to buy a new car, a house, or looking for an early retirement, it is important to list out your time frame, how much money you need for these goals, and also to invest in products that can beat inflation and help you realize your dream. Now, for that, you perhaps need to track the top performers. Now, everyone knew that Messi was the player to watch out for from the beginning of the World Cup. He did have a few disappointing matches, but he peaked at the right time. So did Mbappe, despite being on the losing side. But the idea here is to focus on companies that have a return, and that too with great value to investors in the long term. Now, the likes of Reliance, Infosys, HDFC Bank have a history of giving shareholders a great value. And in the past too, like most of you, you will continue to do so. So even if they have had a few bad years in between, you always do bet on them. But one needs to do their research thoroughly while investing in the big names too. Now, drawing parallels back to football, we saw more than 205 teams participate in FIFA in the hope of winning the World Cup. But only 8 countries or so managed to do it so far, have managed to get that cup. Now, in the world of business too, thousands of companies try to be among the top in the country, but only a handful of them are able to sustain that position at the top. The Nifty 50 is an index that tracks the 50 of the top companies by market cap, and in India is considered to be that benchmark one needs to beat. If you don't have the time to track individual stocks, you could invest in an index fund or an ETF that tracks the Sensex or the Nifty for inflation-beating returns in the long run. Now, looking at the other parameters. If you look at Germany, it was one of the best performing countries in the World Cup. But they faced a humiliating defeat in the first round itself. One mistake cost them heavily, and they failed to register themselves in the knockouts. So, while investing, do not make the same mistakes that Germany did. Do have a look at your portfolio periodically, and if your portfolio is not aligned with your goals, seek help from an advisor to tweak your risk profile and so that you achieve your goals. Now, on the other parameters, we did see how Morocco, a minnow among football giants, was an outperformer, and that too by a huge margin. Now, how did they manage to do that? Well, the word to describe them would be consistency. They ignored the noise around them and they worked on their teams consistently. Now, Morocco made it to the round of 16 back in 1986, and that too for the first time. They were then unable to get a better result for more than 36 years. But their government then invested more money into promoting the game, into promoting the right talent, as well as their support staff. And then you saw players that learned from their mistake and end up beating up top teams like Spain and Portugal on their way to the semi-finals. The same could apply to your investments too. You could also beat inflation and create a stellar portfolio by investing in SIPs. Now, it doesn't matter if your investment is small, stay on the course. Invest even when markets are not yielding great returns, and over the long term, you are most likely to have a portfolio that has beaten inflation and also created great returns.